The galaxy was a quiet place, a vast, empty space where star systems twinkled like distant candles in the dark. Most of the universe had forgotten Earth. Humans had become a distant memory in the minds of powerful alien races. Earth was small, insignificant, and defenseless, just another planet in the endless expanse of space. But that was about to change. Far beyond the reach of the alien invaders, deep in the dark corners of space, something ancient stirred. It had been hidden, lying dormant for centuries. A fleet of unimaginable power, built by humans long before anyone knew Earth was even a threat. This fleet had been waiting, hidden in silence, for the right moment to awaken. That moment was now. Commander Elena Mitchell stood on the bridge of Earth's final outpost, staring at the vastness of space through the thick glass windows. She could feel the weight of the silence around her. The quiet before the storm. Earth was defenseless. The alien forces had gathered, ready for their final strike. For years, humanity had been fighting small skirmishes, doing what they could to survive. But they were always outnumbered, always outmatched. Earth had no real defense against the might of the alien fleets. But in the back of Elena's mind, she knew something the aliens didn't. She knew the truth about Earth's hidden fleet. A fleet so powerful that even the most advanced alien races would stand no chance against it. The fleet had been built by Earth's ancestors long before the war started. It had been buried in the depths of space, waiting, hidden from the eyes of anyone who might come searching. It had been forgotten, even by those who had built it. Until now. Elena turned to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Harris. His face was grim, the weight of the situation clear in his eyes. "Are we ready?" she asked. "We're as ready as we'll ever be," Harris replied, though his voice betrayed his uncertainty. "The fleet is being activated. It's a slow process, too slow. The aliens will be here before we can even make a dent." Elena nodded, her thoughts racing. Time was against them. She had always known this day would come. Earth had always been small, vulnerable, but they were not without hope. The hidden fleet was Earth's last chance, but it was a secret so powerful that no one could afford to underestimate it. The problem was that no one knew how to control it. Earth's finest scientists had spent years studying the fleet's technology, but there was little knowledge left of how to fully activate it. The fleet's systems were based on ancient technology, beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. But Elena had been trained for moments like this. She wasn't going to let Earth fall without a fight. Suddenly, the alarms blared across the station. A red light flashed above the control panel. "The alien fleet has entered our system," the voice of the AI announced. "They are on an intercept course." Elena's heart raced, but she forced herself to stay calm. The alien forces were massive. Hundreds of ships, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever seen. They were closing in fast. "Activate the fleet now," she ordered, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. Harris nodded, rushing to his console. "I'm initiating the sequence, but it will take time. It's not an instant process." Time. They didn't have time. Elena watched as the alien fleet grew larger on the screen. She could feel their presence, the arrogance in their approach. They thought they had already won. But they were wrong. Earth had a secret, and it was about to be unleashed. "We need more time," Harris muttered under his breath, tapping furiously at the controls. The countdown was ticking away. It felt like every second was a lifetime. Elena gripped the edge of the console, her mind focused on the task at hand. Then, something unexpected happened. A strange signal, faint at first, flashed on the radar. It was a message, a signal from the fleet that had been dormant for so long. The system began to hum, its long-forgotten systems slowly coming to life. Elena's eyes widened. Could it be? Was the fleet actually starting to awaken? The signal was weak, but it was enough to give her hope. She turned to Harris. "Do you see this?" "Yes," he replied, his voice a mix of disbelief and excitement. "It's working. It's really working." The fleet was waking up. Slowly, the dark space around Earth began to shimmer with the faint glow of ships powering up. Ancient warships, their designs unlike anything the aliens had ever seen, began to emerge from the hidden depths of space. The first few ships were small, their forms barely visible against the vastness of space. But they were there. Earth's hidden fleet was coming to life. And with it, humanity's last hope. Elena took a deep breath. The tide was turning, but it was far from over. The alien fleet was almost within striking range, and Earth's hidden fleet was still in the process of awakening. They had no time to waste. "Prepare for battle," Elena ordered. "We fight for Earth." As she said the words, the first of Earth's ancient warships, once thought to be a myth, powered its weapons up. It was time for humanity to rise. It was time to show the galaxy that Earth would no longer be a forgotten planet. The battle for survival had begun. The tension in the command center was palpable as Elena Mitchell stood at the head of the room, her eyes fixed on the growing presence of the alien fleet. The display screen showed hundreds of ships advancing toward Earth, their imposing silhouettes slowly taking shape against the darkness of space. The very sight of it sent a chill down her spine. It was an overwhelming force, one that humanity had no chance of defeating, unless the dormant fleet could awaken in time. "We have to hold them off," Elena muttered to herself, her mind racing. "We have to buy more time." Beside her, Lieutenant Harris worked feverishly at his console, his face tense. "The alien fleet is approaching fast, Commander. We've activated the first wave of our ships, but they're still coming online one by one. It's going to take more time than we have." Elena gritted her teeth. Time. It was the one thing they couldn't afford. The alien forces were growing closer by the second, and every moment felt like a lifetime. The fleet might awaken, but would it be enough? Was there a chance that these ancient ships, built centuries ago, could stand up to the sheer power of the alien invaders? Her thoughts were interrupted by the voice of the AI, which broke through the silence like a crack of thunder. "Alien fleet now entering strike range. Estimated time of contact, 3 minutes." Elena's stomach dropped. 3 minutes. That was all they had before the aliens launched their attack. The hidden fleet's ships were slowly powering up, but they weren't ready for battle. Not yet. "Launch all available defensive measures," Elena ordered, her voice cold and commanding. "Prepare to engage." The crew scrambled to follow her orders. Gun turrets on Earth's outposts began to swivel into position, ready to fire. Missiles were loaded into launch tubes, their warheads locking into place. But Elena knew it was only a delay. Earth's defenses were laughable compared to the overwhelming strength of the alien forces. She glanced at the status board again, watching as the faint glow of the first ships in the hidden fleet became brighter on the radar. The ships were coming online. Slowly but surely, they were starting to power up their systems. But they still weren't ready. Not yet. "How long until we can bring more ships online?" Elena asked, her voice tight with urgency. Harris didn't look up from his console, his fingers flying across the buttons. "The first few ships are operational, but they're slow. The old technology is." He stopped suddenly, his eyes widening as he looked at the screen. "Wait a minute. There's a spike in energy output. The fleet's systems, they're synchronizing." Elena's heart skipped a beat. Could it be? Were the ships coming online faster than they had expected? "Check the readings again," she urged, her voice trembling with cautious hope. Harris quickly ran another diagnostic, his eyes glued to the display. "It's happening. They're awakening faster than we thought. The fleet's ancient systems, they're responding." "Tell me more," Elena demanded. "They're linking together. The ships are activating one by one, but their systems are sensing up, like they're forming a collective consciousness. They're no longer operating independently. This is beyond anything I've ever seen." The room fell silent. The alien fleet was still closing in, but now there was a glimmer of hope. Earth's hidden fleet, once thought to be a relic of the past, was coming back online. It was waking up, and it was learning to fight as one. "Commander," Harris continued, his voice now filled with awe. "The fleet. It's not just a defense force. It's like it's evolving. The ships are adapting to the current threat. The weapons are coming online, and they're starting to calibrate for the enemy fleet's power." Elena allowed herself a small smile. Could it be that the fleet was more than just an ancient defense system? Was it a living, breathing force, capable of adapting and changing to the circumstances it faced? "Prepare the fleet for full engagement," Elena said, her voice firm and resolute. "We're not just going to survive. We're going to win." The words felt like a battle cry, a rallying call for Earth's last stand. There was still a long road ahead. The alien fleet was powerful, ruthless, and far larger than their own forces. But now, with Earth's hidden fleet waking up and preparing to fight, they had a chance, a real chance. Outside the station, the first wave of Earth's ships, still a shadow against the vastness of space, powered up fully. Their sleek, ancient designs shone with an eerie glow, reflecting the light of distant stars. They were not like anything the aliens had ever seen before. No, these ships were something different. They were humanity's final defense, a weapon forged in the deepest corners of space. The first ship moved into formation, its guns powering up as it aligned with the rest of the fleet. "Ready for battle," Harris said, his voice full of determination. "The fleet is responding faster than anticipated. It's ready to engage." Elena looked at the alien fleet on the screen, now just moments away from striking. She had to make a decision, and she had to make it quickly. The fate of humanity rested in her hands. "Fire," she commanded. In an instant, the silent void of space erupted in a blaze of light as Earth's hidden fleet, now fully awakened, unleashed its fury upon the oncoming alien forces. The first shot was fired, and it was just the beginning. A new era of warfare had begun, and Earth's defenders had just made their first move. It was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a fight for victory. And the universe was about to witness humanity's strength. The void of space erupted in blinding flashes of light. The first shot from Earth's hidden fleet tore through the darkness, a beacon of defiance against the overwhelming alien invaders. The alien ships, massive and imposing, were still closing in, their weapons primed and ready to strike. But now, the tables had turned. Humanity's fleet, once dormant and forgotten, had awakened and was ready to stand its ground. On Earth's command ship, Elena Mitchell stood with her hands firmly gripping the edge of the console, her heart pounding in her chest. The battle had begun. Every fiber of her being was focused on the screens, watching as the first volley of energy blasts collided with the alien ships. The force of the strike was massive, sending shockwaves through the space around them. "Direct hit," Harris called out, his voice trembling with a mix of excitement and disbelief. "The alien ship's shields are holding, but they've taken significant damage. We've got them on the back foot." Elena's eyes narrowed. The alien fleet was still formidable, its technology advanced beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. But Earth's hidden fleet was a force to be reckoned with. The old warships were not just relics. They were weapons of incredible power, designed to withstand and overcome even the most advanced adversaries. And now, after centuries of silence, they had returned to defend humanity. "Keep up the fire," Elena ordered, her voice cutting through the noise in the command room. "We need to hit them with everything we've got." The crew moved quickly, their fingers flying over the controls, their faces set in grim determination. As the battle raged on, Earth's fleet began to show its true power. One ship after another, the ancient warships fired their powerful weapons, tearing through the alien formations with deadly precision. But despite their impressive showing, the aliens weren't backing down. They retaliated fiercely, their weapons unleashing waves of destruction that sent ripples through space. The enemy fleet moved as a single unit, coordinated and disciplined, its sheer size and power overwhelming. "Elena," Harris said, his voice tense, "they're launching counterattacks. We're holding our ground, but their numbers are too great. If we don't get reinforcements soon." "We'll manage," Elena interrupted, her gaze still locked on the chaotic battle unfolding before them. "Our fleet is built for resilience. We don't need numbers. We need strength." She turned to the screen, her eyes scanning the battlefield as Earth's fleet continued to engage the alien invaders. The enemy ships were beginning to falter, their shields flickering as they absorbed the punishment from humanity's hidden fleet. The tide of battle had shifted, but there was still a long way to go. The alien forces weren't going to give up easily. And then something changed. A sudden burst of energy appeared on the radar, like a flare in the distance. A new ship, previously hidden within the fleet, had powered up and come online. It was unlike anything they had seen before. This ship was massive, its weapons far more advanced than the others. The design was sleek and intimidating, its hull gleaming with a menacing, almost otherworldly glow. "Elena, look at this," Harris said, pointing to the new ship on the screen. That's the flagship. It's operational." The flagship's weapons powered up, unleashing a wave of destruction that cut through the alien ranks with terrifying precision. The enemy fleet, already battered and stunned by the initial assault, now faced an unstoppable force. The flagship's guns tore through the alien ships, turning them into debris in a matter of seconds. One by one, the alien vessels were reduced to floating wreckage, their shields and weapons useless against the might of humanity's fleet. Elena stood frozen for a moment, watching the flagship's destruction unfold. It was clear now that the hidden fleet was more than just a last line of defense. It was humanity's answer to the galaxy's most formidable threats. This was their fight, and they were going to win. "Elena, we've taken out another dozen ships," Harris reported, his voice filled with awe. "Their fleet is breaking apart. We're winning." Elena exhaled slowly, a sense of relief washing over her. The enemy was retreating, their lines shattered by the unexpected fury of Earth's fleet. But she knew this wasn't over yet. The alien forces might have been stunned, but they would regroup. They always did. "We can't let our guard down," Elena said, her voice steady despite the weight of the victory. "Prepare for a counteroffensive. The war isn't over." But for now, Earth had struck a powerful blow. The alien invaders, who had once thought themselves unstoppable, were now on the defensive, and humanity's hidden fleet had proven its worth. They had risen from the shadows, and they weren't going down without a fight. As the battle continued to unfold, Elena looked out into the vastness of space, her thoughts focused on the road ahead. The fight had just begun, and she knew it would be a long and hard war. But for the first time in ages, she allowed herself a moment of hope. The human spirit was alive and well, and they had the strength to face whatever came their way. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth was not to be underestimated. "Elena, shields at 80%, Harris called out, his voice filled with concern. "We can't take many more hits like that." But Elena didn't hesitate. "We've come too far. Hold the line. We take that ship down, or we don't leave here alive." As Earth's fleet continued to press the attack, the alien warship's shields weakened further. Every shot from humanity's fleet struck harder, more accurately. It was clear now that Earth's forces had not only the strength to stand their ground, but the determination to see this fight through to the end. With one final decisive blow, Earth's flagship fired its main weapon, sending a blast directly into the alien warship's reactor. The resulting explosion was cataclysmic. The alien command ship was torn apart, its massive frame disintegrating in a fiery burst that lit up the battlefield. The shockwave rippled through space, pushing back the remaining alien ships as their morale shattered. For a moment, there was silence. The alien invaders had been dealt a blow they hadn't expected. The remaining ships, now without leadership, hesitated. Some attempted to retreat, others faltered, unsure of what to do next. And then Alina heard it, a long, deep breath from the crew. The tension in the room began to ease, but she knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen Earth's strength, but there was still a long war ahead. The alien forces might be down, but they were far from defeated. "Alina," Harris said, his voice quieter now. "We did it. We've made them retreat. For now." Alina allowed herself a single, sharp exhale. They had won a major victory today. But the war was not over. The aliens would return, and when they did, Earth would be ready. "We'll stay vigilant," she said, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. "This is just the first step. The real fight is still to come." The battlefield was still. The violent chaos that had filled the void of space just moments ago had given way to an eerie silence. Earth's fleet had emerged victorious, but the toll of the battle was evident. Hundreds of ships, both alien and human, drifted in the vast expanse of space, their once gleaming hulls now scarred and battered. Fires still burned on some of the wreckage, and the remains of the alien command ship were a reminder of the power humanity now wielded. Alina Mitchell stood at the bridge of Earth's flagship, her face a mixture of exhaustion and resolve. The crew, too, were silent, their expressions somber as they surveyed the damage. The mood was quiet, reflective, but there was no mistaking the pride that lingered in the air. They had fought, and they had won. But at what cost? "Alina, we've secured the system," Harris said, breaking the silence. His voice was tired but steady. "The aliens have retreated for now. We've won. For today." Alina nodded, though she didn't feel like celebrating. They had won a battle, yes, but the war was far from over. The alien fleet had been forced to withdraw, but the message they had sent had been clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. "Status on the rest of the fleet?" Alina asked, her voice focused, professional. She needed to know the extent of their victory before they could move on. Harris hesitated. "We've lost a few ships, and several others are heavily damaged. Repairs are underway, but it'll take time. The alien forces hit us harder than we expected. We'll need to stay cautious." Alina gazed out the window of the bridge, her thoughts drifting. She had always known the battle would be difficult, but she hadn't anticipated how devastating it would be. Earth's fleet, once thought to be nothing more than an old relic, had proven to be a force to be reckoned with. Yet the aliens would return, she was sure of it. They were not a species to take defeat lightly. The question now was how long they would wait before making their next move. "We'll rebuild," Alina said firmly, her gaze unwavering. "And when they come back, we'll be ready." The crew exchanged glances, nodding in agreement. Despite the weight of the situation, there was a renewed sense of purpose in the air. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. As Alina walked away from the bridge's window, her thoughts shifted to the people who had fought so hard to protect Earth. They were more than just soldiers. They were humanity's last hope. The fleet's reawakening had been the turning point in this war, but they would need to stay united, stay strong, if they were to survive what was coming next. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the alien leaders were not idle. In a dark, war-torn chamber aboard a massive alien ship, the remnants of their once proud empire gathered. Their faces were masked with frustration, anger, and disbelief. "They've defeated us," one of the commanders said bitterly, slamming his fist onto the console. "How is this possible? We underestimated them." Another alien leader, a tall figure cloaked in shadow, spoke with a low growl. "They've awakened something we didn't expect. The humans have a power, a determination that we failed to see. We thought them weak, insignificant. Now we know better." The leader paused, his eyes narrowing. "We cannot let this go unpunished. We will rebuild, we will reinforce, and we will strike again. Earth will fall." The room grew quiet as the alien leaders exchanged dark looks. They knew that their next strike would have to be decisive. The humans had proven their strength, but they had also shown a weakness. Their overconfidence. The aliens would exploit that, making sure the humans could never regroup. Back on Earth, Alina received word of the enemy's next move. The aliens were already preparing for a counterattack, one that would be larger, more devastating, and more coordinated than anything they had seen before. "We have no time to waste," Alina said, her voice filled with determination. "Prepare the fleet. We'll be ready for them." As Earth's forces began their repairs and preparations, there was no illusion that peace had arrived. The galaxy was a volatile place, and humanity had only just begun to prove itself. But Alina knew one thing for sure: Earth had awoken, and nothing in the galaxy would stop them from fighting for their survival. The next battle would come, and when it did, Earth would be ready. "You said." The galaxy had never been more uncertain. After the shockwaves of Earth's victory rippled through the cosmos, both human and alien forces were bracing for the next stage of the war. Humanity's fleet, though battered and scarred, had proven that they were no longer a vulnerable, isolated species. Earth had awoken, and the universe was forced to reckon with the full extent of humanity's potential. But for Alina Mitchell and the commanders of Earth's fleet, the victory was bittersweet. The enemies they had just defeated were regrouping, preparing for a counterattack more ferocious than anyone had anticipated. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resolve, but now they were determined to erase that mistake. They would not let their pride be shattered by a race they had once viewed as insignificant. Alina stared out at the vast expanse of space from the command center. The stars seemed peaceful, distant, but she knew better. There was no such thing as peace in this galaxy anymore. The next war would be bloodier, and Earth would be in the thick of it. "Status report, Harris," Alina asked, her voice steady, though her mind raced with the possibilities. Harris, ever the professional, didn't hesitate. "Repairs are progressing. The fleet's ready for deployment, but we've got a limited window. The aliens are massing their forces again. Intelligence suggests they're assembling their fleets at a staging point near the nebula sector. It looks like they're preparing for something big." Alina's eyes narrowed. The nebula sector was known for its dense clusters of asteroids and unstable gravitational fields. It would make for an ideal ambush. The perfect place for the aliens to trap humanity's fleet. "They'll be waiting for us," Alina murmured. "They'll try to hit us before we're ready. We can't let that happen." She turned to Harris, who met her gaze with a solemn nod. "We need to strike first," she added, her voice firm. "We need to find a way to hit them hard, take out their command structures, and cripple their ability to regroup." The room was quiet as everyone processed her words. It was a risky move, but one that could turn the tide of the war in humanity's favor. They had to act quickly, decisively, and with precision. "Prepare a full offensive strategy," Alina ordered. "I want every ship ready, every crew member prepared for combat. We can't afford any mistakes." Harris quickly moved to relay the orders, but before he could leave, Alina called out to him again. "Harris, we need to be smart. We know their fleets are vast, and they're going to throw everything they have at us. We can't just rely on brute force." Harris paused, then turned back to her, his brow furrowed. "What are you thinking?" "We need to outsmart them. We'll use the element of surprise, set traps of our own. The nebula sector may be a trap, but it's also a playground for those who know how to navigate it. If we can use the sector's chaos to our advantage, we might just have a chance." Harris nodded slowly, understanding what Alina was suggesting. The nebula sector was treacherous, but with the right tactics, it could be a weapon in itself. They would have to move fast, and they would need to be prepared for anything the enemy threw their way. The rest of the fleet commanders gathered around, each one preparing for the most important mission of their lives. The silence in the room was thick with anticipation, each person knowing that the next few hours could determine the fate of their species. Alina's mind raced as she processed all the intel they had gathered. The aliens weren't just going to sit idly by. They had been humbled, but they hadn't been defeated. Earth's victory had shaken them, but it had also fueled their desire for revenge. Alina knew that, if they were going to stand a chance, Earth's fleet would have to be more than just strong. They would need to be unpredictable. "We need to be the storm," Alina said, her voice a whisper to those closest to her. "We need to strike fast, hard, and leave them guessing." As preparations for the counterattack began, the tension in the air was palpable. The crew and soldiers of Earth's fleet had proven their strength, but now they would need to prove their ingenuity. The battle ahead would not just be fought with weapons, it would be fought with tactics, with surprise, and with the will to win. Alina knew the path ahead was fraught with danger. The aliens would not back down. But she also knew this. Humanity had something the aliens didn't. They had the will to survive. They had the creativity to adapt. And they had something deeper than any fleet or army. Humanity had heart. As Earth's fleet prepared for the next chapter of the war, the storm was gathering. The galaxy would soon know the true power of a species that had been underestimated for far too long. The battle for survival was far from over, but one thing was certain: Earth would never surrender. The tension in the air was thick as Earth's fleet made its way toward the nebula sector. It had been a long journey, and every moment felt like an eternity. The crew was ready, but there was an undeniable sense of anxiety hanging over them. They knew the enemy would be waiting for them. This was it, the final confrontation that could either secure humanity's future or plunge the galaxy into chaos. Alina Mitchell stood at the command center, her hands gripping the console as she watched the stars streak by. Her mind was focused, but her heart was heavy. She had seen the cost of this war, the sacrifices made by so many. Earth had awoken from its long slumber, and now it had to face the consequences of that awakening. The aliens were ruthless, and they had learned from their previous mistakes. They wouldn't give up easily. "Harris, status report," Alina said, her voice steady but strained. She needed to hear that their fleet was ready. "Fleet is in position, Alina," Harris replied, his voice calm but filled with the same tension that had settled in the command room. "All ships are primed and ready for battle. We've got the element of surprise on our side, but we'll need to stay sharp. The aliens won't be caught off guard again." Alina nodded, her eyes narrowing as she gazed out at the dark expanse of space. The nebula sector was a labyrinth of asteroids, gas clouds, and gravitational anomalies, an ideal battlefield for those who knew how to navigate its dangers. The aliens had chosen this sector to launch their counterattack, thinking they could use its chaos to their advantage. But Alina had a different plan. "Set course for the asteroid field," Alina ordered. "We'll use the sector's instability against them. Prepare the fleet to split into 3 groups. One group will create a diversion, while the other 2 will sneak behind their lines. We need to catch them off guard, hit them where it hurts." Harris looked at her, a slight frown creasing his brow. "You're going for the heart of their fleet." Alina's gaze was unflinching. "We need to cripple their command structure. If we take out their leader, we'll throw the entire fleet into chaos. This ends today." The plan was dangerous, reckless even. But Alina knew it was their only chance. If they didn't strike now, while the aliens were still regrouping, Earth might never get another opportunity. The time for hesitation had passed. As the fleet moved deeper into the nebula sector, Alina's thoughts turned to the crew. They had become more than just soldiers. They were a family, bound together by the shared belief that humanity's survival depended on their success. Each one of them had faced the horrors of this war with courage and determination, and now they would face the ultimate test. The command ship, the Vanguard, led the way, cutting through the asteroid field with ease. The fleet followed closely behind, each ship maneuvering with precise coordination. The strategy was simple: create confusion, exploit the chaos, and strike when the aliens least expected it. But as they neared the heart of the alien fleet, something unexpected happened. The alien ships, which had once been scattered across the sector, suddenly began to converge. They were forming a blockade, trapping Earth's fleet in the heart of the nebula sector. "This isn't right," Harris muttered, staring at the holographic map. "They're ready for us. They knew we were coming." Elena's pulse quickened as she realized the truth. The aliens hadn't been caught off guard. They had lured Earth's fleet into a trap. The blockade was complete, and the fleet was surrounded. The Vanguard was the first to come under fire, enemy ships closing in from all directions. "Elena, we need to break out of here now," Harris shouted, his voice full of urgency. Elena's mind raced. There was no escape, not unless they fought their way through. She turned to the crew, her eyes steely with resolve. "Prepare for battle," she ordered. "This is it. We fight to win." The air crackled with the tension of battle. The fleet had no choice but to engage. The Vanguard's cannons roared to life as they blasted through the alien ships that tried to close in. Earth's fleet, though outnumbered, fought with everything they had. The sound of explosions, the flash of laser fire, and the thunderous noise of ship engines filled the space around them. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she fought to maintain control. The chaos of battle was overwhelming, but she couldn't afford to lose focus. The aliens had set a trap, but they had underestimated humanity's tenacity. The battle raged on, the crew of Earth's fleet pushing back with relentless force. Elena could feel the weight of every decision, every moment that passed. There was no turning back now. She had promised victory, and she would deliver it, no matter the cost.